The next big disruptor in retail isn't a tech innovation, it's weight loss drugs. By 2028, an estimated 70 million Americans will have tried GLP-1 medications like Ozempic and Wegovy. These drugs are not just altering the healthcare landscape, they're expected to influence everything from food and beverage choices to fashion sizes. Analysts are predicting a significant shift in consumer behavior, with traditional diet and fitness markets being turned on their heads as consumer behavior shifts away from conventional weight loss methods. Retailers and brands are now racing to adapt to this new reality, where the ripple effect of a single pharmaceutical innovation could redefine the way we shop, eat, and live. Elena, when was the first time you heard about Ozempic, Wegovy?
I honestly feel like I was living under a rock for a while because I feel like it just now kind of hit my For You algorithms. Yeah. But I think I noticed a drastic change in this podcast host that I follow. She hosts the Morning Toast, but she's really open about it. Claudia Oshry, girl with no job. And I saw she had like drastically lost a lot of weight. And I was kind of like, oh, she looks great. Like, not thinking anything of it, but then she came out and said what the cause was and what she was trying and how she was happy to evangelize it because it worked so well for her. And when you see something so drastic, you're kind of like, oh, let me dive into this. Yeah. Like, what is this about? But it didn't start becoming real for me until some of my friends started to get on it. And I'm like, wait, this is accessible? I was shocked. So I think seeing it, I was just kind of like, okay, this is a thing, like, cool. I could never see myself doing that or whatever the case might be. But I'm like, okay, it's kind of getting real. It's like in my direct circle. And I'm like, okay, let me look into this. Yeah. What about you?
I think the funniest TikToks that I've seen, and that was a trend for a while, it's like, I want to lose so much weight that there are Ozempic allegations
against me.
Even if I'm not against me. But even I think taking medication for weight loss, there's the stigma around it.
Totally.
And people are, I think where before people were more secretive about like how they got there. People are just open about this process and what has helped them. I mean, I've even seen LinkedIn posts of people mentioning it.
It's interesting to understand the backstory. And when we thought about doing this episode, we kind of wanted to jump on the trend and just kind of talk about how it was impacting e-commerce and retail. Yeah. So just to kind of date it back, it was actually originally designed for diabetes management. So now that it's at the center of the weight loss revolution, I think it's interesting that retailers like GNC and Vitamin Shoppe are reacting. It's a medication containing semaglutide approved by the FDA in 2017 for treating type 2 diabetes in adults. And it actually mimics the hormone that signals fullness to the brain and slows digestion. So it helps lower blood sugar and leading to weight loss. But Ozempic gained attention for its off-label use in weight management, particularly among celebrities and influencers. So it's kind of where it started. And obviously it's since evolved.
Yeah.
How do you feel like the popularity has kind of impacted retail specifically?
Yeah. And I mean, we work with a lot of retailers, not specifically on this Ozempic wave, but it is so important that we stay on top of like, what are other trends? How will this impact businesses? And a prime example of that is GNC and Vitamin Shoppe. They are redesigning stores to cater to the growing number of people using these medications like Ozempic for weight loss.
Yeah.
GNC has dedicated a wall in its 2,300 plus stores to supplements that appeal to Ozempic users, which talk about catering to a target market and meeting them in this moment, highlighting products that help manage the drug side effects, because one of the things that I've read on, and I don't know all the side effects, but there are some side effects to the medication, or there can be some side effects to the medication. And so it makes sense for like a Vitamin Shoppe or a GNC who's selling supplements to be a part of this wave and to cater to that consumer.
They're not only supporting their customers in their weight management, but additional aspects of their health that could be affected by the medications, like, I don't know, nutrient absorption and digestive health specifically. So I know, for one, I don't think health is just about weight loss, and that's exactly what these retailers are confirming with their actions. I think it's really about customer education.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
they have a responsibility to kind of like make sure that customers are fully informed about the supplements they're purchasing,
right?
Which adds to that conversation. So there's got to be that clear, accessible information that people can take and make those educated choices about their health. And I think that's the retailer's role here.
Right. It's very new. Like
Totally.
you said, we were just hearing about this wave, but it's very new. And for retailers and pharmaceutical and others to take a stance on education and strategic positioning and how you can cater to those target segments, I think it's so critical. And I think it's awesome that they're showing up.
Totally. 2/3 of people in a Morgan Stanley survey said that they're spending less on eating out since they started to take the GLP-1 medications.
Wow.
So I find that interesting. Like, people are buying less food, which definitely impacts the industry, like health and wellness, but also food and beverage and hospitality.
Right.
So if people are spending less money in the economy, like how will that impact the economy in general? You know,
there was also Walmart was. They noticed that there was a decline in food purchases among people that were taking GLP-1, like those users, while Nestle, they see an opportunity to market its lean cuisine meals and others to this demographic. Basically, to summarize, Walmart, because they have a pharmacy where you can pick up the medication, and then they also have a grocery store, of course. They're seeing that in the data, people that are picking up this medication. I think it's a non, I don't know like how they are actually tracking or anything like that, but people picking up this medication, also tracking like what they purchase in terms of food, and their total spend has decreased.
Interesting.
Since they start the medication.
Interesting. I know that there have been some concerns expressed just around the like economic implications too. Because it's growing in popularity, people are buying less food, the sales are down specifically. But I can also see like how, as a marketer, you can market your healthy options to people and kind of appeal to the folks who are weight conscious.
Yeah.
Like Kava, Chipotle, Sweet Green are already ready to handle those shifts because they understand consumer spending is down just based on inflation, but also like they have healthy options.
Right.
But the fast food spots like Taco Bell or Wingstop or McDonald's, I think they're going to see a harder time. And it's really just the beginning. I think there's still a lot of room for restaurants and brands to capitalize, but it's only going to get bigger.
I don't know if you've seen this rising trend, but just to talk about protein and getting as much protein as you can. I feel like that's also in this whole conversation we're having about Ozempic and like the lifestyle changes and those fast food restaurants. I think that the ones who do it well, they're capitalizing on this lifestyle changes that people are making. I can see other restaurants coming out or like at least testing different models. I mean, McDonald's has done that in the past with like their snack wraps and other things. Like, so if we continue to see this wave and as Ozempic takes off and how like this changes retail and grocery and all of that, I guarantee those other retailers or those other restaurants are also going to follow suit.
I did see a stat that 70 million, basically estimating, Goldman Sachs estimates by 2028, 70 million Americans will have tried these drugs, representing a massive opportunity for related industries. And I think people are worried about maybe the effectiveness, maybe the downsides and qualifications of retail, staff to recommend them.
Yeah.
I think that could get a little dicey. Yeah. What do you think?
So there is a entire movement on social media about body positivity.
Yes.
And I do think that these type of solutions like GLP-1 medications, Wegovy, Ozempic are in conflict with the movement.
Love yourself.
So on one side, it's like, you should love yourself for who you are. But there's also this movement of, okay, we want to be more healthy. I think people are more conscious. And maybe this is like the post-pandemic era where like we're talking about mental health. We're talking about our like getting in the best shape, making these lifestyle changes, even being more than just our jobs, like having hobbies, like everybody's in their hobby era. At least I know that I am. And yeah, I just, so one, I do see that like there's a conflict. It's very complex to discuss. But then on the one hand, these drugs do offer a new tool for individuals and can be empowering for those who they faced health challenges due to their weight. And I've seen a lot of success stories. I actually follow this influencer, and I wish I remember her name. Shout out to her. I'll try to remember, but she's lost a lot of weight on her own. She started taking semaglutide, and she's the person that she actually goes to these fast food restaurants and she shows you how you can, what the carb count, what the protein is.
Oh, I love that.
And she does it at every restaurant, and she's showing the Chick-fil-A, and she's like, this is what I got, and this is how many carbs, this is how many protein, because I think what's more important than taking the weight loss medication and thinking that's the solve. Yeah. It's more about the lifestyle changes shift as a result of that. And if you like fast food, you don't want to sacrifice that to reach your goal because it's not sustainable. Right. I think about it from that approach, but then on the other hand, there is this increasing popularity of these medications, and there's societal pressures to conform to certain body standards. Potentially undermining the core message of body positivity, which promotes self-acceptance at any sides.
Yeah. I think that's the frustrating part is because I love the Dove campaign when they were all about the body positivity and you got to see all of the different body types, and that really moved me because I feel like you grow up seeing one size and then you're like, I don't look like that. So I have a negative mindset, or my mental health is affected.
Or I need to be that in order to...
Or you're killing yourself to try to be that. I was an athlete all my life, so I didn't have to think about that stuff until I got to college, and then post-college where I had to sit at a desk all day. Agreed. And I'm like, what is this? I'm not working out every day. I'm not making healthy, conscious choices. So it's kind of what do you do next? And I worry that this feels like a little a solve or a quick fix. But like you said, increasing in popularity, whatever decision you want to make for yourself, I think is your right to choose. But at the end of the day, it's about sustaining the lifestyle. It can't just be I get this shot every couple of weeks and then I don't have to do anything about it. Yeah. So I think retailers who can kind of keep up with the trends and understand that it's happening and make sure that you're supporting people through this journey, knowing that there could be some side effects and you might have to deal with those side effects. Yeah. I don't know, that might come in messaging specifically, but I think the biggest piece is being transparent. Right. I used to work in healthcare marketing, and just from a marketing perspective, there's got to be that transparency. And it's really more about I don't know, when it comes to health, it's not just about weight loss or muscle gain. I just don't like it when it's marketed as this catch-all solution that you can just do this one thing and all of your problems will be solved. So I'm curious to see how that will go.
I do think, I've been in e-commerce for a very long time, and the things that there's been a lot of evolving since when I started, say 2012. I mean, I haven't been in since it started, but
since the beginning.
Before, even you would see models, you always shot you pay for the model, so you shot everything on the model. So that's the standard of what you show online. Mm-hmm. But from an e-commerce user experience perspective, there's hesitancy in buying if you don't know, okay, is this going to fit me? Actually, what's the model size? How tall is she? All this kind of stuff. So you've seen this evolution of really rich product descriptions, information, size charts, if it's going to fit like this. I've even seen on Amazon where based on the product that I choose, or based on what you've bought in the past, your ideal size on this is this. And I'm sure they're using AI and technology to decide that. I think that's so important. And I don't see e-commerce businesses moving away from being inclusive. If nothing else, we're more inclusive of showing it on different model types.
We have to be.
Even when you go in the store, showing different mannequins because we don't all look the same. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that's not going away because people can't. They don't buy what they can't see. If they can't see themselves in it. So. Yeah.
You're selling a lifestyle. You're selling a dream, and you have to see yourself there. So. Right. Brands who get that, I think, are going to be positioned ahead of those who don't. And so I think people are already on that train, but I'm curious to what you think, how brands can navigate this fast changing landscape without losing touch with their customers. You mentioned a couple of like being really descriptive and helping with sizing to eliminate returns or whatever the case, like being more inclusive with their product photos. But what else can they be doing to not lose touch?
Yeah. I think the first thing is looking at your consumer insights. I think that's vital, and not just in what customers are telling you through surveys, but also what you can glean from your data. So in the Walmart example of how they were looking at their data and customers who were purchasing the GLP medications, also going on to purchase less groceries as a result of that. Those are the type of insights that I think are so important. And that also means that this isn't for everyone. This is a very targeted group of people, but it does allow you to personalize based on that and also gain insights into what's the velocity, how much is this growing, or more people leveraging this product and purchasing less over time. Those insights, I think, are critical to driving your business. There was a survey that the Vitamin Shoppe did that showed that 40% of respondents were likely to use a telehealth service for GLP-1 medications, influencing their decisions to partner with WellSync, which I think partnerships are also important because if you're like Walmart and you have this everything that you could possibly do is in the store, you have access to more data, that first party data, than someone who doesn't, who like maybe you just sell the supplements, but you don't sell, you can't fill your orders for the medication there. I think also enhancing customer loyalty is so important. So really responding to that customer feedback, and brands can build that stronger relationship with their customers. If you know this information about the customer because they're purchasing maybe like the medication from you, like that does allow you to grow. Like one thing about personalization, they always say is like, customers want you to show them that you know them. And so there you go. Like you're building this customer for life because you're helping them from a content perspective, from a product discovery perspective, all of the things that makes their life easy. Another takeaway for brands and retailers is to also stay on top of these trends. And one way that retailers can do that specifically, like even if you're like in the fashion or whatever, is looking at your like size velocities, like what sizes are selling, what's like, because you can kind of see this shift in consumer behavior and patterns based on what they're buying, how they're changing over time. I think that's super critical. So those are just a few. And I touched on like education and the resources.
I love what you said about customer feedback. And I think that's so important to move with customer sentiment. And I think Weight Watchers did a good job with this. They actually listened and adapted when they knew a lot of people were interested in taking GLP-1 medications, and they integrated that guidance into their programs quickly.
Yeah.
And with that, they're building trust and they're building long-term engagement. But on the other hand, Jenny Craig didn't adapt quickly enough. And I feel like that combined with other things, they struggled to stay relevant. And ultimately that led to bankruptcy. So I think it just shows the importance of being agile and being able to adapt. And there's always going to be something that shakes up the scene, but your brand has to be ready for it and be ready to take action.
Brands are more human than they've ever been before.
Totally.
And as a consumer, like we're all figuring this out. Like we, you know, if you're deciding to change your lifestyle or want to take this medication and you are engaging with brands that you love, that you trust, that you value, and they're helping you along this journey, I just think that builds customer loyalty. That's how you gain that customer for life, because they feel like we're a partner in this, like we're in this together.
I actually interviewed, she worked for Ollie, and they do vitamins and wellness. We did an interview at Shop Talk, and they talked about being like the millennial women's best friend, or at least the accountability partner, someone that like understands that consumers are fickle. Like we might be splurging one day, but really self-conscious or like price conscious the next.
Cutting back.
Yeah, like cutting back or splurging in one day, you know, in one day. We're very complicated. We talk about that a lot, but understanding the nuance for customers and understanding how they operate and what they need builds that trust.
Yeah.
And I think it's tough for brands to stay on top of innovation while also still building trust.
Right.
But there has to be that relationship.
There's like that balance.
Yes.
Yeah. So I saw a survey from Edelman that says that 81% of consumers that say that trust is a deciding factor in their purchasing decisions, which is huge. However, 59% of consumers are willing to stop buying from a brand after just 1 or 2 bad experiences. So it also goes to say, like, you have my trust, but for how long? Like, don't ruin it. And Gen Z is impacting the entire buying ecosystem, as we know. We talk about Gen Z a lot. And I know that, like, from working at Whirlpool and like other brands that that show up in your life, they're like these lifestyle brands, how trust it's so hard to gain. And it can be easy to break if, you know, one moment can be the deciding factor in like this decision to switch, and the competition's always there.
Talking about trends and brands capitalizing on them with their products, I think it could backfire too, because we talked about like one that's adapting quickly, one that wasn't. This is a bit of a dated example, but one that came up in my research was Reebok's Easy Tone shoes. Do you remember this at all?
I don't remember I kind of can get the gist, but I don't remember exactly what happened.
Well, they were marketed as a way to tone muscles by simply just walking. So the brand faced legal challenges when the claims were found to be unsubstantiated. So the FTC fined Reebok $25 million for deceptive advertising.
Wow.
So I think it was tough for Reebok to recover. I mean, we're now finally starting to see them make a little bit of a comeback with sustainability initiatives like Cotton and Corn collection and focusing on fitness like partnerships like CrossFit and really reviving those classic sneakers. But I think that's a great lesson for brands, because you have to capitalize on these new opportunities, but you also have to be mindful of how your marketing impacts consumers. And not damaging your brand's reputation, and just being really clear and transparent, not claiming that your shoes can fix all of your fitness problems. But just being transparent. I think that's key.
And I'm actually surprised that got by like legal, because from working on
who proved this?
From working on brands, you know, you submit your brief and you're like, this is great, you know, everything's amazing, and legal's like, that's a claim, take it out. Like, you know, so it's
who approved this? And I think too, like, that's a clear example of like going a little bit too far and being really clear in your messaging. That's why copywriters are so important, because they have to understand the nuance.
Absolutely.
Do you have any other examples of brands who have capitalized on trends, or maybe examples of ones that fell flat?
Yeah. So one example, this is actually, we're just coming off the Olympics, which was recently. The Google had an ad around the Olympics for AI, and it flopped. So basically the ad was suggesting that AI can express thoughts and emotions for a child. So it's like, let me help you to write this message. And so Google pulled the ad and they released a statement. And what they said was, we believe that AI can be a great tool for enhancing human creativity, but can never replace it. Our goal was to create an authentic story celebrating Team USA. And I think this is an example of how we're embracing AI. We love AI, but we're also human, and we don't want AI to take that creativity away from us.
Yes.
And did you see the ad?
I saw it, and it totally missed the mark. I didn't think too much of it in the moment, but then I saw the chatter online where people were flustered, irate. Like, I mean, it would just blew up. I think it's because
we're in this world too.
Right. And I think I was just kind of like, okay, like it was kind of weird, but I didn't think much of it. And then I saw one of my favorite creators, she does like a Monday weekly advertising roundup. And what I thought was interesting was that they actually tested this ad with a focus group, and the focus group, it passed. Like everybody had great things to say, but they made a good point where when you're in a focus group, you sign up to give this feedback, you're in a different mindset than when you're just sitting at home watching the Olympics. That is what people like. They were sitting on their couch seeing that, and they're like, what? Like, what is this? And I think that just shows, like, it might have passed the tests initially, but like the general public did not like the involvement of a child and writing a letter to her idol. It's kind of like, that shouldn't require technology help. Like, you could just write a silly, simple, like, I love you so much and you're my hero. And like, that would be sufficient. So it just kind of took the sweet father-daughter moment and made it I don't know, way cleaner, which it didn't need to be. Like that's the sweetness of, you know, having that relationship. So I think they definitely missed the mark, and they're listening to their customers and they're like, oh, we didn't mean it. They're backtracking. But I think that's a good example of something flopping and having to pivot.
When you're looking at the Olympics, and like we're both former athletes, and you see yourself growing up, you see yourself in these athletes. You always dream that you could be there. You aspire to be there.
Oh, yeah.
And I was thinking about like what the context of that ad, would it have made sense in a different moment? But I think even if the child was writing a letter to Santa with AI, it still would have had a similar reaction.
Yeah. It just kind of takes away like the genuine uniqueness of like what you personally would have to say, like what that athlete means to you personally, not AI.
Right.
So, and it also doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Like you're not writing and you're not working in a job where you have to, every copy has to be the most perfect caption or whatever the case might be.
And so, if you're writing it and you're like me, and AI is like, you should say it like this. And I'm like, this is good. I'm using your words, not mine.
I'm like such a fan of that. I'm like, critique my work because here's my brain dump, like fix it for me.
Yeah.
So that makes sense because we get paid to do this, but like we just need a little help getting to the finish line.
Right.
But for this, I mean, nothing is writing on this letter. Like you don't need AI to help you. So
what about a brand that has done it very well from your perspective?
I saw one example. Glossier did a great job capitalizing on the minimalist beauty trend, and they kind of built a brand around skin first, makeup second. So they kind of appealed to that new generation of the natural beauty and simplicity of makeup and not having to constantly beat your face every time you want to go out. So I think they leveraged social media really well and leveraged user-generated content to kind of create that strong community of loyal followers, and they have like a weird cult following. I typically I haven't yet experienced that. I'm not part of the community specifically, but I think their products like the Milky Jelly Cleanser and the Boy Brow, like they are cult favorites, and they're embodying that no makeup look that resonates with millennials and Gen Z. And I think that they're tapping into like what they actually want to see on the market.
Yeah, I love that. I actually found one of their lip balms at TJ Maxx, and one of the selling points was like, you can put it on your lips or your elbows. And I'm like, okay.
Let me try.
That was like a selling point for me.
Multi-use dynamic products over here.
I love it. This is such a great discussion. I hope our listeners out there enjoyed it. After today's episode, if you enjoyed what we talked about in terms of like the trends, we'd love to hear from you on LinkedIn. And to stay in the know on everything happening in e-commerce and AI, subscribe to our Edge newsletter. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.